Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into a story that's all about love, loss, and legacy. It's a story that starts with a really heavy heart, but ends with the first piece of a promise being literally carved in stone. Get ready, because we're exploring Genesis chapter 23.
Now, before we jump right in, we gotta get the big picture. To really feel the power of this one chapter, you have to know where it fits. So, I want you to think of the Bible not just as one book, but as this huge, incredible library filled with ancient scrolls that all connect to tell one epic story. And our story today, it's on one of the very first, most important scrolls in the whole library.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to take a quick tour of the library itself. Then we'll open up the very first book, Genesis. After that, we'll meet the amazing family at the center of it all, see how a huge promise starts to become real, and then we'll pull out a powerful lesson on honor that we can actually use in our lives today.
All right, first up, let's zoom all the way out. Because when you see the Bible as a whole library, you start to notice something amazing. Every single story is connected. They're like threads in this giant, beautiful tapestry, and each one has its own special place, leading right into the next.
Okay, so this giant library is basically split into two main sections. You've got the Old Testament, which is the incredible story of God's relationship with people right from the beginning of time. And then you have the New Testament, which focuses on the life of Jesus and the start of the church. Our story today is way back in that first ancient section, the Old Testament.
And here's something really cool. Even though they contain basically the same books, the Jewish and Christian traditions organize them a little differently. In the Jewish tradition, it's called the Tanakh, with 3 parts. In the Christian tradition, it's 4 parts. Think of it like this. You have all the same chapters of a story, but just by changing their order, you get a slightly different feel for the overall plot. It's the same amazing story, just told with a different flow.
But right at the very heart of both traditions, you find the first 5 books, called the Torah. This is the bedrock, the foundation of everything. It's got the stories of creation, the epic journeys of the first families, our forefathers. And in the very first book of the Torah, well, that's where we meet our hero Abraham.
So let's talk Genesis. The name itself literally means the beginning. This is it. This is the opening shot of the whole biblical movie. It's where the story of our world, of humanity, and of our connection with God kicks off. And the scale of this book is just breathtaking. Seriously. The story starts with this massive wide-angle camera lens on the creation of the entire universe. And then, slowly, the camera starts to zoom in from all of humanity until it focuses in tight on one man and his family, the family that would change the course of history. And this is where the story really pivots. That camera has zoomed all the way in. The second half of Genesis isn't about the whole world anymore. It's a close-up family drama, focusing on this one family whose children and grandchildren will one day become the nation of Israel. So let's meet the stars of the show. These are the great fathers, the patriarchs. You've got Abraham, the one who first heard God's incredible promise. Then there's his son Isaac and his grandson Jacob. Our spotlight today is on the man who started it all, Abraham, during what was probably one of the toughest moments of his entire life. And that brings us right to our chapter. Let's paint the picture. You can almost feel the dry, warm air of a place called Hebron. The sun is beating down on this dusty landscape, and there, an old man, Abraham, stands outside his tent. The text tells us Sarah, his beloved wife, lived to be 127 years old, and she's just passed away. The chapter opens with Abraham weeping for her. This isn't a story about a big miracle. It starts with the quiet, profound sorrow of a man who has just lost the love of his life. But here's the twist. Right in this moment of deep, personal sadness, a huge promise that God made to Abraham years and years ago is about to finally, physically take root. This is way more than just a story about a burial. This is the story about the birth of a home.
See, you've got to remember the backstory here. A long time ago, God made a sacred promise, a covenant, with Abraham. It had 2 main parts. First, that his family would grow and become a blessing to the world. And second, that he would give them a land to call their very own. Blessing and land, a future and a home.
But there's a huge problem. This is the central tension of the story. For his entire life, even with all his wealth and this amazing promise from God, Abraham doesn't actually own a single square inch of this land. He's what the Bible calls a sojourner, basically a foreigner, a traveler, just passing through. So after he's done mourning, he stands up and goes to the local people, the Hittites, and says, "I am a foreigner and a sojourner among you.
Give me property for a burying place, so that I may bury my dead. Can you imagine that feeling? Being promised a home, but having no place you can even legally bury your wife?
This moment forces Abraham to act, and the local Hittites respond with such kindness. They say, "Hear us, my lord. You are a mighty prince among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our tombs." They offer him any spot he wants. But Abraham is very specific. He bows down and asks them to speak to a man named Ephron, because he wants to buy a very particular spot, a cave at the end of Ephron's field, the cave of Machpelah. He wants to own it, fair and square.
And what happens next is just a masterclass in how to act with honor. Ephron, hearing this, stands up in front of everyone at the city gate, the place where all business was done, and he says, "No, my lord, hear me. I give you the field, and I give you the cave that is in it." He offers it as a free gift, but Abraham bows again and insists on paying. He doesn't want any doubt about who owns this land. So Ephron names the price, 400 shekels of silver, which was a huge amount of money. And Abraham doesn't haggle. He doesn't complain. He immediately weighs out the silver, in public, making it an official, legal transaction. The purchase wasn't just about a piece of land. It was the first permanent, legal anchor of his family in the Promised Land. And after all that, he buries Sarah with the dignity she deserves. So, okay, what does this ancient story, this negotiation at a city gate, have to teach us today? Well, it's all about a powerful idea the Bible calls kavod. It's a Hebrew word that means honor, respect, and dignity. And it's about how we choose to act, especially when things are tough, and how those choices shape our inner character, our dimensions. I mean, just think about it for a second. Abraham was heartbroken. He was vulnerable. He was a foreigner. It would have been so easy to just accept the handout, to take the free gift. But he didn't. Instead, he chose to act with complete honor. He honored Sarah by getting her a permanent resting place, and he honored the Hittites by treating them with total respect and fairness. And that really brings the question right back to us, doesn't it? Abraham's actions weren't just about some real estate deal. They were a public statement that his promises mattered, that people deserve respect, and that his love for his wife was something real and permanent. So how do we show that kind of deep honor in our own lives, with our families, at school, in our communities?
So here is a simple but really powerful way you and your family can put this into practice this week. We're calling it the Kavod Challenge. Step 1, pick one person in your family you want to honor. Step 2, really listen to them. Don't just hear the words, but ask questions to understand what's truly important to them. Step 3, do something that shows you respect their feelings and wishes. And finally, step 4, tell them why you did it. It's so much more than just being nice. It's showing someone, with your actions, that you truly see them and respect them.
You see, that very first piece of land, the one Abraham bought with so much honor, became the sacred burial place for Abraham himself and for Isaac and for Jacob. It became a physical symbol of a legacy built on faith and integrity. And in the very same way, our small actions of honor, the ones we choose every day, build a legacy of love and respect in our own families that can last for generations. Thank you for joining us for this complete journey through the Pardes. We hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week. If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please like, subscribe, and share which part of the journey touched your soul in the comments. We'll see you in the next chapter.